This episode was made possible thanks to generous supporters on Patreon. Do you know in what time signature this riff was? Well, it's 15/8, 18/8, 15/8, 7/8, 4/4. Well, how to count and play those, you'll see in a minute. I've been asked quite a lot about what time signature, so I decided to make an episode about it. But since the topic is quite extensive, I decided to make several episodes and to address it a little bit more thoroughly, so I can be sure that you will have a good understanding of the matter. In this episode, I will start with the basics, and in the next one, I will go more and more in depth and get into the more advanced stuff. For certain, you're familiar with the meters like 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, or 6/8, and we know how to count them because they're the most common meters and it's everywhere in the music around us. But when one encounters something that's pulsating on 5, for example, without a former exposure to odd time meters, it becomes a train wreck. You naturally try to align these and to fit them into something familiar like the 3 or 4 based musical grid that you're already quite familiar with. And it becomes a challenge to keep it going as it should be. In order to gain understanding of how odd meters work, we should disassemble them into smaller discrete blocks and see how they all bond together. Fortunately, there are just 2 building blocks, so we don't have to learn a lot of information, but what's difficult is how to operate fluidly with this material. Essentially, we've got a block of 2 notes and a block of 3 notes. Most of the time we deal with these groupings in quavers or 8 notes, and this is why I will use them as a basic value. Normally we play 2 quavers for 1 beat of the metronome because normally the tempi are written in crotchets or quarter notes and 1 crotchet is being equal to 1 beat. This means that the 2 note groupings happens for the time of 1 beat of the metronome. The 3 notes grouping, however, happens to be a dotted crochet, which means that it's a beat and a half, and it becomes quite challenging to play with a regular metronome set, as I said, on every beat equal to 1 crochet. And to make things easier, I would suggest in the beginning to set your metronome to a double tempo so it can click on quavers, and in such a way you avoid this problem altogether. So using this knowledge, we can easily imagine how a time signature of 5/8 could be divided into 2 blocks, one of 2 notes and one of 3 notes. Thus, we have 2 beats as the second one is longer. I like to use short articulate syllables to signify the strong beats and off beats, which is basically the same concept used in conical. If you don't know what conical is, I will put a link in the description. So mine is of course simpler because I came up with it before I came to know about conical. So I've got 3 syllables. I've got ta for the strong beat, and I've got k and t for off beats. And respectively for a group of 2 notes, I use tak, and for a group of 3 notes, I use tak. So from this perspective, the time signature of 5/8 divided into 2 beats, one of 2 notes and one of 3 notes, becomes taka taka ta, taka taka ta, taka taka ta. If we repeat this several times, we will get the actual feel of the 5/8 groove and we will become more familiar with it. Taka taka ta, taka taka ta, taka taka ta, taka taka ta. Of course, the note groupings could be reversed the other way around, and we can start with the 3 followed by the 2. So it will be taka ta taka, taka ta taka, taka ta taka. So it wasn't so hard, was it? Now we can move to a little bit more complex material, like 7/8, for example. If we use the same logic, we can divide it into 3 beats, and thus having 2, 2, and 3. And using the same syllables, it will be taka 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 ta, taka 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 ta. The most common way to play those type of time signatures is to put the long beat either at the end of the bar or at the beginning of the bar. And in this case, we put the 3 at the end. And this type of arrangement is very typical for the Bulgarian folklore, for example. If we reverse the order and put the 3 on the beginning, we will have taka ta taka 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 ta taka taka. And this type of arrangement is more typical for Macedonian folklore. Of course, we can put the 3 in the middle, and then we will have taka taka ta taka 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 ta taka. But this becomes a little bit more challenging. It requires a little bit more focus, and probably this is one of the reasons why people don't use it so much in this particular form. Quite frequently, though, in Western music, when we encounter the time signature of 7/4, usually it's played like 2 mirrored versions of 7/8. So we've got one with the 3 at the end, taka 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 ta, and then we have the mirrored version, taka ta taka taka. And then the full bar of 7/4 looks like taka 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 ta taka ta taka taka. And this creates a very interesting syncopated rhythm and feel right in the middle of the bar, and you can hear this arrangement quite often in progressive rock songs. Now, using this knowledge, go back to the beginning of this video, listen to this riff, and try to figure out how to divide it into groups of 2 and 3 notes, and see how you can stack them all together to get the time signatures that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. And if you get confused, don't worry, I will make a detailed explanation of this particular riff in the next episode. So that's everything for today's video. I hope you find it useful. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon up here or on the links down in the description, where you can get tabs, downloads, and all kinds of interesting materials. And the membership starts as low as $3 per month. Also, subscribe to my channel, click that bell button to get informed when I upload new video. See you next time, and remember, practice makes perfect.